Yo, what's going on, everyone? I'm Chuckie Online. Welcome to Upfront. I got Jordan with me, STEVO the Madman. There's things to talk about. There's things to address. What better time to talk about it now? Let's do it. This is an interesting time that we're in right now. You know, there's a lot of conversations that are being had, and I thought that it would be a good time to, you know, have conversations with. Firstly, it's a shame that it's taken us so long, me and you in particular, Stevo, to actually sit down and, you know, rap together or whatever. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good time to kind of like have a conversation and start and share experiences and that, because you know what, like as black men and as black people, that our experiences are all the same, and that we all go through exactly the same thing, and that is not exactly the case. So I wanted to kind of have an open conversation about just your experiences of growing up and that, and how you see things now. And obviously I'm going to share some of that too. Jordan, let me start with you, yeah?
Yeah, man.
See, as like a young buck, right? Did your parents ever have a conversation with you about race?
No, well, when I grew up, it was just me and my mum. Like, I didn't really see my dad for probably the first 15 years of my life. So when I grew up, I was in a predominantly white neighborhood, and I remember when I first went to school, I think there was only me and one other black guy who was like a couple of years older. So a lot of the kids would ask me, like, you know, why are you a different colour and stuff like that. I used to go home like really upset, like, mum,
how old are you? So what year?
I'm 25, so this would have been
the 2000s then, yeah.
I was born in 95, so it would have been about 2000, 2001. And the kids didn't really get me. Like, we'd do like portraits in school and stuff, and like people would draw me and like colour me in black and say, look, Jordan's different. And then I started playing football, and then when I was like quite good at that, that's what sort of like earned me the respect, and that's when people started. And I feel like you could probably relate with this. You play ball as well, innit?
First thing I want to say is Jordan's dad not being there. That's a stereotype that will get thrown at him straight away, whether you got a dad or not.
Yeah, no disrespect, man. I'm close to my dad now, innit?
But what I'm saying,
first half of life,
the thing growing up is that all black dads disappear and things like that, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later on 100%. Why me being around with my kids and the dads that are around their kids is a great example, you know what I mean? But the football thing, what you're saying there, for me, is the same thing. Yeah. And luckily for me, I became good at sport quite early, so a lot of the people respected me quite early. From 11, it was like, I'm the quickest in the country and whatnot and things like that. So you get that level of respect, but
100.
That makes you overlook certain things. Because they're all liking you and they're smiling in your face because you're the good footballer. Yeah. You start overlooking things, you know what I mean? Little, when the lights go off in the dressing room and there's a joke, where's Kev? Where's Jordan? Where's Chuckie? It's like, ha. You know what I mean? But because you're the best in the team, they can't be cussing me because they just told me I'm great. The manager put his arm around me and said I'm his son and things like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like you just said, it soon went from, oh, Jordan, the guy who's a bit different, to Jordan, the footballer who's playing for the football team a year early and stuff like that. So I feel like in that sense, that helped me sort of identify myself when I was a kid, because, you know, I learned how to, I was like welcomed into like teams, I learned how to be social, and that sort of helped me for the rest of my life, really. Sport was a massive part of my upbringing, because I grew up in an area where it was very different compared to when I started playing football and got a lot older. Like, a lot of the kids were from South Manchester, which has got a lot more black people in it. I felt like that helped me growing up identify myself, definitely. What
about you, Stevo? Like, because obviously you just mentioned about like the acceptance with football and stuff, but just going before that, your mum's Jamaican, right?
Yes.
And your dad
walks out barefoot, kisses her teeth after every sentence. She's really Jamaican. My dad's Jamaican, but he came over early and he moved into the East End. So a lot of people see my dad, hear him talk, and they're like, bloody hell, your dad's, he's very Cockney. Yeah. And I'm saying, because he grew up in the East End.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, literally, he grew up in the East End. That's where he was, and that's how they spoke around him, you know what I mean? And
can I interrupt you there? I feel like this is another thing that gets forgotten about sometimes, When you grow up in a certain area, around certain people, there is a likelihood that you're going to speak like that.
Well, that's like the white boys that grow up in the black area. They're going to speak like that. They're not acting black, they're acting in their area. You know what I mean?
In their environment. Yeah.
That was a big thing for me growing up, Chucks, because I come from Enfield, and although I say Cockney, it's not like, oh, mate, it's not that sort of Cockney, but it's white people. Very, very white in Enfield. And I speak like an Enfield person. Like, I really do, you know what I mean? But also in Enfield, my school, Kingsmead, was a black school. all black, dreadlocks, Bakari, all of these boys went to my school, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So although I'm growing up and the people around me are white, every time in the morning I'm driving in or going in.
You're going to a black school.
A black school, yeah.
Wow,
so
okay.
Yeah.
I literally, and I love that I had the best of both.
Yeah.
With my mum and all my family, they wouldn't not let me see how Jamaican we was. You know what I mean? My house, you go in there, there's jackets hanging up on the banister. You know what I mean? And there's shoes all over the place. Very, very untidy, really. You know what I mean? But I loved it. It was home for me. You know what I mean? Even though we're in this, my mum and dad have grafted and worked hard and moved us to this nice house in Enfield. You go in it and it was still Jamaica for me. You know what I mean? Even the smells of the seasoning, all of that. You know what I mean? So
did she make you aware of your surroundings, though?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
How did she do that?
First of all, be careful. You know what I mean? Be on your P's and Q's. But this is why this whole thing's scary, because the people that she was sending me out with or sending me round to their house, especially during this period we're in now, some of them people have end up being racists. And these are the people my mum's saying, be careful, well, don't worry, you're going around John's or whatever. John's ended up years later, especially now reading your comments, John, and all of that, it's like, wow. You're the person that I was going round. You was my protection. When I was going into deep Enfield Lock, you was my protection. My mum let me be with you and your family because they believed you understood and you got what I was going through. When someone looks at me and like, what's this black person? I'll say black person now, but you know what the word was. What's he doing round there? We don't want your type round there. When you're standing next to me, I believe you got it. And he was like, well, you can't talk to him like that, but they didn't get it. They didn't get it. To them, it was just, and again, moving with the times, being racist was a name call, or it was getting hit, or it was a look. Like, it's moved on now. That we can walk down the road now, fine. I can walk through Enfield, fine now, but I'm still gonna get pulled over by the police, or I'm still, you know what I mean? I still have to smile to the woman to let her know I'm a good black person. You know what I mean? All of that, you know what I mean? So it's definitely changed, but it's a different sort of racism. But back then, it was literally, my mum would just tell me, be careful.
Obviously when you went to school, when you went to school, would the kids obviously knew what area you were from? Did that make it more difficult when you was in school?
Again, George, bro, like, when I tell you, I was the man at school.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, it's crazy because growing up, when I tell these stories, and you've heard me tell you about the stories of the NFs in Enfield and all that, life should have been torture.
Yeah.
And I believe it was, looking back now. A lot of black people, white people, this has brought up some madness. And we're all now looking back thinking, raw, life was mad for me. I'm getting chased every day. But I loved my childhood.
Yes.
How does that make sense?
It's weird. It's weird. I grew up in an area, I was so envious of people that went to a black school, because I never went to that.
Yeah.
So I had a cousin who like went to a school that was like, it felt like a black school and that, and I wanted to be in the mix of that. Yeah. Whereas I went to a school in Norfolk, where Norfolk at the time, well, in my generation, it wasn't as racist.
Isn't it Greenford?
It's near Greenford.
So my cousins. So we used to go to my cousins in Greenford.
Yeah. So I went to school around them sides here. Back in the day, them ends used to be rife with racism. And what? Rife? But for me, like my generation, like we'd be playing football under the subway, and like I would see like the NF thing, but like National Front, by the way, like that was like a far, white,
almost
right
like
wing,
BNP,
all of that.
Yeah.
So that was normal for me to just be kicking football on the wall and that and seeing that or whatever. But again, I feel like that was just the aftermath of what used to happen in that area.
80s.
It didn't, it wasn't so much that anymore. It was a little bit more underground, but it still existed. And like in school, there were certain things that happened because, like I always say sometimes, I look back and I think, oh, you know what? Like sometimes I think, like I never really experienced it in such a mad way, especially when I listen to the stories that my mum tells of like how it was when she was young and my dad and whatever. But then when I look back at some of the experiences and things that happened in school or whatnot, I realize how much I normalized them. Like for example, when you're talking about
carpet,
when you're talking about when the lights go off and like where's you understand what I'm saying?
How can you start a black movement when you're the only black person in your class,
exactly.
bro? So it's like you were saying, we're brushing it under the carpet, but let's be real. we had no choice at them times,
Yeah,
bro.
no, it just is. It
You had
was
to
what
get
it
in
was.
line.
Yeah.
I speak to Ian Wright, and I know he gets a lot of grief, and it's like, boy, like, why didn't you say something back then?
Yeah.
It's because if you did say something, you got labelled like Andy Cole.
Yeah.
You're a black guy with attitude and all of this. So it's like I've just literally got on the ladder. I remember in the 80s and 70s, you weren't even allowed to get into a team. So the 90s, they're allowing a lot more black people and to get black people into the England team and all of this. We can't start all getting mad and saying, well, you've let us here now, but I'm still angry.
Yeah.
At the time, you know what I mean?
Do you know what though, Steve-O? For me, it was more. It just was what it was.
Yeah.
It just was what it was. I'll always remember a time,
was.
where like, and I see this guy now actually, but like he was like one of the tough boys in the school or whatever, yeah. And like we used to get on when it was time to play football, but outside of that, we weren't. It wasn't that. So anyway, one day, we've tried to ring him because we wanted to wanted to organise football maybe against another school or something like that. I can't remember. And do you know his voicemail said, "Listen, if you're white, you're all right. If you're black, don't call back. All right." And do you know what? I always remember listening to that, coming off the phone and thinking, it's you know what I mean? This just is what it is. Do you get what I'm saying? It wasn't like, this was just how he was. But when I look back to it now, of course I see how problematic that was. You know what I'm saying? And that was a very normal thing in my childhood when I was young.
Whose fault's that? Because our parents, and bloody hell, man, I love my mum, I love my dad. Well, my mum, imagine that, my mum's just passed, by the way. So yeah, but
sorry
I love. It's fine. But I love my mum, I love my dad, right? But to us growing up, and times have changed, but to us, literally, remember, our parents would football. Nah. You need to go and get yourself a trade. In my house, it was all about getting yourself a trade.
Yeah.
As a young black man, if you got yourself a trade, you're in work forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like that being said, along with when you go out, if they look at you, just don't answer back or don't basically fall in line. You know what I mean? And my mum and dad weren't like that as such, but I've heard my aunties and uncles talk like that.
Yeah.
Like if you get stopped, just make sure. So basically we was taught to have it really growing up.
Yes.
Get into this stage now, it's like, this is what you see. You see these comments, and I see a load of comments, and sometimes it's like, yeah. And then sometimes it's like, no. You know what I mean? But it's like, this is the generation, we're not having it now.
Of course.
We're not sweeping things under the carpet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what you said, that song, there used to be a song when I was growing up, it was fight, black v white. If the white don't win, we all jump in.
Serious?
It was mad.
You know what I mean? It was that
mad.
song. You know what I mean?
Like
So,
that, man. There used to be like little gang wars, man.
Yeah, man.
That's
in
mad.
school
Do
and
you know
that.
what as well though, yeah? I think, and I would say that this has been a positive for me though, is that my mum never made me or never talked to me in a way where I like was at a disadvantage.
okay.
So she never did that. She was always very supportive in whatever it was that I wanted to do. And like always very much like trying to push me in the directions of like the stuff that I wanted to do. But she never really like enforced on me like, oh, you know you're gonna have to work hard. You know you're gonna have to do this.
Yes.
She just always like left the door open for me to come to her and talk to her about whatever it was that I needed to talk to her about. And she'd always give me her honest opinion or her feedback or whatever. But I never actually felt like, I never went out thinking to myself, you know what? Yeah, like, do you know what? It's super mad out here. I just went and I went and I just dealt with what was coming at me, but was almost on a thing of, you know what, like, I'm gonna be something regardless of what any.
My mum taught me similar to that. Like, also taught me like the flip side of it. So I remember like once I was in class, and I think I was in about year 8, and I was just, you know, like when you're a lad in class, like you shout out and that. We had a supply teacher, and one of the supply teachers was like, "Oh, like you blacks are all the same," or something like that. And to be fair, the whole class was surprised and stuff, and everyone reported her, and she got fired after that. But I think like when certain things like that happen, like I was taught like actions speak louder than words. So actions speak louder than words in the sense that like if like that happened, it would be easy for it to snowball effects for me to think, oh, if people are saying that, I'll just act like that in all my other lessons. In terms of like, for me, I thought, you know what, if I actually do good, that's the biggest middle finger I can do to anyone being racist or anyone hating. So my mum taught me to like love myself and like show Just prove them wrong, innit? Prove the prejudice wrong.
Actions,
you know what I mean?
Actions. And you know what, Chuck? You said something earlier there about your mum didn't tell you about the disadvantage and what, although she definitely knew they were there and she felt them, right?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think that comes with? Because I knew that, and my mum never told me this. My mum never told me, oh, you have to work double harder. She was never one of them, like what you said, right? But I knew that. Does that come from the people, our idols that we're watching? Because we would have seen Tupac through the 90s talking like that, or any one of them rappers, you know what I mean? And our football idols as well would have been talking about the disadvantages that they had coming through youth teams or making it in music. So we was aware, although our parents didn't actually say, you know what, it's going to be double hard for you. And I know parents did do that, but I know how I think. Like what you said there, if I probably would have got told that, I probably would have used it as an excuse to not work.
Potentially. I think sometimes some things as well, like you have, depending on the stage of your life that you're in, you have like a spiritual awakening to a degree, and you're kind of like, oh, now this is starting to make sense. Now, okay, I understand that. But depending on your personality and how you move, you might have been like, all right, cool, I'm going to make it happen regardless. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, it's a super interesting one for me, but I feel like sitting around the table and hearing the experiences of what my parents had gone through definitely changed the way that I had maybe dealt with certain people myself. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I was kind of like, okay, some of the stories are just horrific, bro. Some of them are horrific. Some of them are funny. I mean, a lot of the time, again, they sit back and they, have conversations about these, and they're killing themselves with laughter. Yeah. So it was like those type of conversations for me made me open my eyes a little bit more to what was going on. But I never tried to use it in any type of way as a disadvantage to what I wanted to do within my life. Do you get what I'm saying? It went on, there were certain things that happened with, me pursuing being a DJ that were like, that were a big hindrance to me. It was a massive hindrance to me. But again, I think it was, the type of person that I am. Yeah. I can be very resilient, bro. You get what I'm saying? It's like if I find out that, someone's trying to hold something over me, or, someone's trying to hinder me from doing something, I am going to do my best to go harder.
Just prove them wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's easy for us to sit here and, because we've got that mentality. Yeah. I've got the mentality that I saw my dad work 7 days a week, but at the end, in the summer, I used to go to Florida. And at the time, I just thought I was rich, or like I've got money or whatever. It was my dad working 7 days a week. And I didn't understand that till I got older.
Bruv, I would have thought you was... Listen, let me tell you something, If you was in my ends and you was my brethren and you told me you went Florida, fam, I would have thought you was 9 times.
And I say this loud and proud as a black man, because my dad had them same struggles that we complain about. Yeah, he had them same struggles, and he burst through them barriers. Had to work 7 days a week. He probably could have earned the same money, maybe working 5, and they made him work 7. I don't know. But he went and worked those 7, you know what I mean? So he could provide for his family. So like when you say the example, I see that and nothing else will do. So if I can't get my kids to Florida, which I did 2 years ago, and I sat on my Snap and I cried because it was a moment for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do that. Like you say, it's a big holiday, bro. You know what I mean? I was in a van grafting. Many excuses of why I'm in this van. But the only thing I didn't really do was look at myself at the time, you know what I mean? So I looked at myself and, as I say, and I made myself think, rah, my dad with the same, in fact, worse, probably harder back then, no internet and all of that, went and burst it and got himself a house, made himself worthy of this economy. Because that's what it comes down to, boys, for me, is that they beat us everything because they don't really think we're contributing enough. Although we bloody are.
Of course we do.
Of course we are,
we
but
contributed to building the country.
Massively.
There are conversations that need to be had within our community in how we can sort of like, you know, maybe not even just aspire the younger lot, but even with just us anyway, like what we can do, you know, to kind of build community space. But you know, I'm gonna get onto that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you about you know, early stages in your career. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, because obviously I know before you was a human being before Love Island. You know what I'm saying? So talk to me about your early.
Now? When you go on Love Island, mate, you become an alien.
Yeah, exactly. Now sometimes people might could feel like you just came out of nowhere and that you didn't have there weren't other things going on. But talk to me about, you know, the early challenges in the career that you had faced.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I didn't experience like hard racism in terms of like, you know, I never got beat up or anything like that. But I think for me, like in my career, it was more about finding out about myself and like identifying myself. So I always thought when I was a kid, like, oh, I want to put a suit on every day and I want to go and work in an office. So after I graduated from uni, that's exactly what I did. I got a job for Aviva and went and did that. And then when I sat there and I was just like, you know what, like this isn't for me. So I think in my career, it's been a lot about like trying different things, and I'd really urge young people to do the same as well. Try as many things as you can. Do you know what I mean? To figure out more about yourself, because you might, if you try one thing you don't like it, you won't be where you want to be, but you'll know exactly where you don't want to be.
100%. That doesn't get talked about enough, bro. 100%.
When you was trying them things though, what sort of industries did you work in?
You know what? My first part-time job, I used to work in a Euro change. So you know, like when you go on holiday and you go and change your money.
Okay, yeah.
So that was my first job, but my first professional job, I was working in investments. So I worked on the pension investments platform for Aviva. So we was like sort of like the online hub where financial advisors invest their clients' money. So it was, I just thought I wanted to work in a professional environment. Do you know what I mean?
So I've never had a professional job, like since from school into football.
Okay.
From football, semi-professional football.
Yes.
Then music. Then my first real job, when I finally conceded that I'm not going to be a superstar, was when I got in my van. I bought a van and I was buying and selling cars, right? So I've never worked in an office.
Yeah.
But you always hear about what happens in offices and whatnot. I'm unaware. How is it? Because I can only tell you that in a football dressing room, it's hella racist. But it's what it is. And I'm
again, remember that goes to what I was saying before.
Yeah, but
we just say, you know what, it just is what it is.
But you know what it is though,
Chucks? Crack on with it.
Yeah. But it's like, I'm trying to think of an industry where I know it's probably predominantly white or what. For instance, when I was buying and selling, when I was working at the scrap yards and all of that.
Yeah.
Now, that there is a proper geezer.
Yeah.
But I understood that I'm at the scrapyard. I have to get their banter a little bit. And it's just like with the dressing room at football. Like, it's savage. It's savage, boy. We do blacks v whites. 5-a-side. Blacks v whites. And that was standard. It probably still goes on now. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's probably not right. It probably sets a bad example for the next generation. If we're still cutting it, segregating it, you know what I mean? But
the reason being is because some people don't know when, like, to draw the line, really, I think.
Where should the line be drawn? So I'm talking about...
I think it's your own moral compass, though.
That's mine's mad.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Behind closed doors, sometimes you know what I mean? My sense of humor is outrageous, bro. Mine is outrageous. But I'll be honest with you as well, like, I've always been a person where, like, I've been conscious about tapping into someone's insecurity. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be able to crack joke, because, bro, I don't believe in silence in comedy. I believe, personally, actually, that you should be able to say whatever you want to say, and I should be able to turn around to you and say, you know, I don't like you. I don't even like what you said. I don't like what you stand for, and I don't like what you do. But you know what? You obviously cater to a certain demographic. You can stay over there and do your thing.
But then you don't keep coming back to that person after you've told them I don't like you, and you don't like the content, coming back telling them I don't like you.
No.
Stay over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me, you know what I mean? So again, so that's a different thing. If we're talking about in an office, in a football dressing room, whatever, like it's like, where's the line, man? And as I say, as we've got further and further into the PC world we're in now, it's like the line is getting lower and lower and lower, to the point where, as I say, things that was funny 2 years ago, I went to repost a video from 2 years ago, I couldn't do it.
the positive side of this is that like it is now opening up a conversation for people to understand like some things actually hurt.
Ain't right.
Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like been taking it on the chin, innit? And we've been kind of laughing with you a little bit sometimes, or just walking off and not saying anything. But you know what? In fact, like these things made me feel some type of way all of this period of time. And that's when I think that when we're talking about jokes and stuff like that, if someone like us as black people in particular as well, are turning around and saying, you know what, over years, this has made me feel some type of way. Now we should have a conversation about it and find out exactly why that is, and then try to then maneuver how we can then go forward. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I'm about solutions, bro.
Yeah, man. 100%, bruv.
Was you going to say something?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I think it comes down to how well you know someone. Like, I'll treat someone that is my close friend.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have a, like you said, there's a lot, like, there's at a certain level to someone that maybe if I'm in the workplace. Do you know what I mean? I feel like some people maybe don't, like, struggle to differentiate that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Like, you know, you could cuss my gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like?
Well, yeah, I do. Can I?
Yeah, you can.
All right,
100%, mate. Like,
Gap's mad still.
And to be fair, I'm cool with it, you know.
Yeah, it's not mad.
No,
it's
actually
actually not mad.
No,
the gap's not mad. Though.
Quite big.
Do you know what? It's not
big.
as big as I thought it was when I first, like when I first
Fit
saw
you in
you.
there,
Yeah.
His beard will just be hanging out like that.
But no, when I first saw it, it wasn't as mad as I thought it was gonna be. Honestly, like even when you smile like that, the other tooth comes in and it's like the whole thing just. You know what I'm saying? Boom. Yeah. Anyway, go on. Sorry about that.
But like what you said, and for me, know your friends in it. Know the people around you, and if you don't take time to study these people, then you're gonna keep having misunderstandings. And misunderstandings for me is the one thing I would eradicate from the world, because for me that causes 90%.
There's nothing worse than grey areas.
You know what I mean? So
but I would expect a certain level of I'd expect a certain level of banter from like my friends in it, but then there'd be people that I don't know, like who I maybe don't. Not that I don't connect with, but I don't know that well. And if they said something, that's when it hurts you. It feels like they're judging you because they don't know you. If it's from your friends and they know you, like,
So how about us then? So when we go on Filthy Fellas, we are slating each other because we're mates.
And
then we walk down the road, and because they've seen us talking to each other like that, they then think it's okay for them to do it.
I might see you dissing someone, but if I don't know that person, I'm not going to allow that to happen. And that's why I think that even when we're talking about, you know, conversations with race, and, you know, covert racism, overt racism and all of that, my whole thing has always been, you know what, when you hear someone being super comfortable and saying certain things that you know is not really the thing to be saying right now, like, you have to nip that in the bud immediately. So it's okay for you if you decide that you want to, you know, diss poet, or poet wants to diss you, or whatever. That's a rapport that you two have in it. But the moment that someone feels that they can come in now and start saying whatever it is to you, that is for somebody to say to them, hold on a minute, wait, no, like you can't be too comfortable here. And I almost feel like in some senses those things are comparable to me.
So you see now the N word.
Yeah.
Just like people see the Filthy Fellas cussing each other, they walk down the road, see that we're comfortable, they say it to us. Is that like the equivalent? And I'm asking the question here because don't say it. But the question is, if you see a race being comfortable saying it to each other, when now a white person walks down the road and they see that we're saying it, do you not feel that they think, well, they say it, I can say it?
I think that.
And I'm asking the question because the answer is no.
The answer is no, but I think that definitely happens. I think that's why some people just feel comfortable by just saying things because, you know, what
do you feel about that, Chuck, that word,
again,
and us using it?
I understand that, like, as individuals, sometimes we see things differently and we feel things differently, But, like, there would be no way in the world, if I heard, like, two Indian people using Indian slurs amongst each other, that I would feel like I'm going to come in and start flicking in some...
me neither.
I just couldn't.
I think it does happen, though.
I see it because obviously if it's in the music and stuff like that and people do it, I can see why they might use that as an excuse. But I just couldn't do it.
Me neither.
I just couldn't even do it.
That's the greatest example I've ever, because I've always, again, where I've grown up, the people I've grown up around, and it's like, you can't say that, bro. I don't care if it's in a lyric, you just can't say it. You shouldn't want to say it, right? But when you said it's like, Now let me think. Now, if as I say, I've got my business partners are Indian, and I hear them going crazy with each other when they're saying their things. Right? Never once have I wanted, and I know the word, have I wanted to say it?
Yeah.
Never once.
Nah. I've never felt comfortable enough to do that.
So how do people want to say it?
I don't know. It's mad. I don't know. It's
mental.
Bro. I mean, that's a conversation within itself. But talk to me.
And you know what? The fact that there's availability on platforms like Instagram for people to make a fake account and write stuff like that they wouldn't normally do on their own account, I feel like is a big problem as well.
Yeah, well,
because
I mean, that speaks to the type of person, innit?
I feel like Instagram and Twitter or whatever, they need to have a bigger responsibility to put something else in place to stop people being able to say whatever they want behind a fake account, because they wouldn't do it on their own account.
Let me tell you this, bro. Like, I've used this thing where you can especially for my kids' accounts, the trigger words. So you can write words, and then anyone that messages that word, it will not come up, right? Yeah. So that's one thing that Twitter, Instagram, all these platforms can do. But a lot of the jokes I tell have them same words in it. Yeah. I won't be able to tell half my jokes. Yeah. You got what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're right, something needs to be done, solutions need to happen, but it's like, what? Yeah. How?
Talk to me a little bit about like the challenges that you faced in your career, as let's go from the football side. Okay. Let's go from the football side.
So when I started my professional football, and I say professional in the sense of went to a professional football team, Queen's Park Rangers, at 13. So it was in the 90s. Yeah, it was in the 90s. So it was, again, a different time. But remember, I had a coach, and I won't name his name, and it's crazy because I still put him down as one of my best coaches, right? He told me to spit on a player.
At QPR?
Yeah. Jesus. That player will then call you the N-word.
What?
Oh, and then
get sent off.
What?
Did you do it?
No.
Good. Wait, hold on a minute. What's the logic behind that?
Oh, bro,
it's
cool. No. The other player gets sent off. You spit on him. You spit on him slyly. He calls you the N-word. Probably gives you a thump at the same time. You just spat on someone. It's one of the dirtiest things you could ever do. Yeah. Get him sent off. You got 11 men. They got 10.
You know what the maddest thing about that is? He would the level of certainty he was that the guy was going to call you the
Say
N-word.
that.
Yes.
He knew the man was going to say that.
That's the scariest bit about it.
Yeah, that's
so
nuts.
that's from 13.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So my friend today, I spoke to him for an hour today, and he said to me, he went, Kev, he went, I've just moved to Hertfordshire. Yeah. Sorry, I moved to Hertfordshire. He's 36 now. He went, I moved to Hertfordshire at 23, and he grew up in Camden. He goes, by the time I got there, I'd already sort of had my identity and knew who I was and whatnot. He goes, you grew up around this, because the reason he was telling me this is because he'd lived there, and it was after 4 years. The neighbour was having a leaving party, and then the neighbour comes up to him and says, yo, mate, can you get me any, any of the stuff? My mate said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He goes, come on, bruv. He goes, I know you lot can get that, blah, blah, blah. He went, bruv, why would you think I would? He goes, you got the Mercedes and whatnot. My mate said, I'm a professional footballer. Madness. I'm professional, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's him living there, and he's like, bro, you've had to grow up with people thinking. Yeah. So almost the reason I'm saying this because it was on the job for me. I learned on the job about racism and whatnot. So by the time I got to 13 years old, that geezer at QPR telling me about that, I knew that ain't the way to go, because I'd already had fights and that with NS around the end. So I knew their way of thinking anyway, and they wanted to punch me. They're going to punch me anyway. They punched me for no reason. They punched me for walking down the road. I don't need to spit on them for them to punch me, mate. You know what I mean? So
terrible advice.
You know what I mean? I was the worst advice ever, but that was my sort of first. Yeah. If you're talking about career-wise, that was my first wow, is this what we're doing? Yeah.
What about now? Because there was a period of time where you were you had crazy amount of social media numbers and stuff like that. Yeah. You had a lot of people. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. You got had a lot of people from a period of time as well, just following you, whatnot, but not necessarily translating that into a monetary game.
So for 3 years, I never know, mate. For 3 years, I was the man, but wasn't getting paid, still in my van, bro. I know that rhymes.
Talk to me about that period.
That was tough, because them times I'm still getting called the N-word. I could show you so many messages, and at the time you're thinking, hang on. I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this for free. I'm literally putting it out there because at the time, no one showed their family. No one filmed their kids. No one filmed what was really going on behind closed doors. So it's like, you know what? I'm in a interracial relationship. Like, I want to show you lot what's really going on. Now, I found my funny way to spin it and whatnot, but the whole thing, which we all laugh about, the seasoning and things like that, that's a real thing in my house. And for years, I nearly left my girlfriend because of it.
Because of the seasoning.
Yeah.
Because in my head, you're not prepared to try and get my culture.
Yeah.
Get me?
Yeah.
I have your culture. I'll have it for 4 days in the week, 5, 6. Give me one day where you try and respect it. No, that's how I was thinking at the time. And then beyond all of that, you find out that this girl's just an amazing girl anyway, and doesn't matter how she cooks, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The biggest lesson for me trying to show the people what goes on behind closed doors in interracial relationship and all of that, I learned about my family and myself so much. I love them to bits, bro. People love them. You know what I mean? It was like, bro, Emma's this, your kid's that, and I'm like, oh, she's this, Emma's funny. Like, you know what I mean? So in the midst of me trying to show these people that I'm not just any N-word out here, any jungle bunny, I learned so much about myself and my family, you know what I mean? But initially, that's what it was. It was like, I told you, I don't know if you've seen the story, I told Poet, they were calling me Gollywog. So I went and made T-shirts saying Golly Gosh. And I put the Snapchat logo, but I gave it red lips and big eyes. And I went and made like $6,000 from it. You know what I mean? Call me a Gollywog, I'll turn it around and I'll go and make money from it. You know what I mean? I'll turn the negative into a positive. But now, reading the stuff, as I say, I've been educated. Even that move back then, I thought I was the man for. You've called me that, I've then gone and made money from it. Like, I don't know, it looks great and that, but the fact of the matter is, I should have shut it down, like, properly. Yeah. I didn't shut it down. It was like, my way's always been, and maybe this was because of the way where I grew up, it was like, all right, you're going to call me that or whatever. I'm going to make a joke, have your sister laughing, and she'll be around, I'll have her in my arm next week. Yeah, like, it was always turning the negative or the look into money or into respect or laughs, you know what I mean? So that's how my snap, that was my fuel. When I wasn't getting paid, like what you said, it was about, you know what? I'm at this. Let me go and show you, bro. Let me go and show you. And that was always my way until the purpose changed. The purpose wasn't to show people I'm better or I'm better than what you think. It became the people. These people, the working class people that thought they couldn't get themselves out of the van or wherever it may be. I'm going to show you lot we can do this. And the message changed, you know what I mean? But initially, yeah, man, I still show you now. I posted it today on my Snap. Open it up. You're an untalented N-word. F off, mate. These, like, now. You're calling me untalented. Look at the table I'm with these talented people, and you're telling me I'm like, so you're going to always say it no matter what I do. I've just bought a shop. Trust me. I've just bought a shop, bruv, and put 13 people on that had never had jobs. And you're still calling me untalented. And I've done it in 4 years and showed you from the van. Like, okay, you're not the people I'm trying to talk to now. Like, I can't keep trying to use the 1,000 people tell me I'm great. The one person says I'm this, and I start believing it. Do better, Steve. You know
I think it's important. You know what I mean? No matter what we're faced with, it's always important to never lose faith and never lose your sense of direction. When we're faced with stuff with, like,
hey boys,
when we're faced with the adversities such as racism, the worst thing that we can do is lose love between one another, but for everyone else as well. Because if not, what are we? Do you know what I mean?
Imagine, mate, and I've said this morning, you lot we keep it real, you lot have seen me come in today so emotional, right? And it's like my whole ethos has been built on, I'm doing this not because of colour. I see a Spartan, whether you're black, white, whatever, and you're just a Spartan. You're just the guy that supported me and took me from hell, you know what I mean? Then it gets to a real moment when it's like, we're not all just Spartans. You're a black Spartan, you're a white, and it has to be said because of what's going on. Because we're all out here saying we're all one colour. When the real S hits the fan, because we're all one colour, we're not ready to say, you know what, no, we're not. And you know what, as a white man, I'm going to stand up here and look after my black, where we're too uncomfortable to talk like that, bruv. You know what I mean?
I think that is changing a bit. I think it's changing a bit now. Because you know why I say that? I don't know how long this is going to last for. Because this is what we was talking about outside as well. It was like, you know, the bandwagonist side of stuff and whatnot. And I will say this as well. I actually genuinely believe that sometimes people could do... I believe that people could do the right things for the wrong reasons. And I think that providing that there's strength in numbers when it comes to certain things, there can be long-lasting changes that happen off the back of that, even if there are people that are doing the right thing for the wrong reasons.
Yes. What do you mean?
He was talking about like people standing next to and saying, you know what, I'm going to defend my black brother.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people can be doing that just to be seen to be doing something.
Yeah, I hear you.
Do you understand what I'm
But
saying?
he's still, and what he's saying is he's still defending that black brother.
Yeah,
He's still doing it. And do you know what? If there is big strength in numbers, when it comes to defending a particular thing, even if there's a group of people that are doing it the right thing for the wrong reasons, the change that could happen off the back of that. Because ultimately, you got to think, it's a few people in an office that make changes, you know?
Yeah, bro.
We have to be out there as hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to make noise when it comes to stuff. But ultimately, it's a group of people in the office that turn around and say, you know what, let's review this now.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look at that.
You know what, Chuckie? I saw. Sorry to interrupt you. I saw a case in a newspaper the other day, and it was this woman saying, "Well, whatever I say is not going to make a difference." Do you know what I mean? But like, people don't realize, like, whether you've got 100 followers, 200 followers, 200,000 followers, if flipping 3% of them people learn something and make a change, like, everyone's got a voice, so everyone should use the voice, whether you've got a blue tick or whether you've not. So I feel like everyone needs to remember that, and that it just triggered that in my head when you said
my
that.
Spartan, one guy, Ryan, big up all my Spartans, man. I got a real crazy support base, and I've needed them recently, But he said to me, he's like, man, he goes, I need to do this or I need to do that. He's a mixed race boy. And I said to him, bro, like, don't you get it? Like he was talking about supporting black businesses and whatnot. And he was like, I need to do this. I said, bro, do you know how much you supported me? Like, to the point where I didn't even want to pick up the phone in the morning. I see a message from you. You've encouraged, like, done whatever for me. I've then been able to pick up, hit the masses, and within that masses, I could tell you many people that have gone on and exceeded me by, like, you know what I mean, 10 times. There's people out, like Harry Pinero being one of them. He was a little kid doing whatever he was doing. I say little kid, but
shout out to Harry.
Yeah, big up Harry, man, and I thank him for telling me this, because it lets me know while I go on with what I'm doing. But he was like, bro, I used to watch you. I followed the blueprint. I've tinkered with it or whatever, done my own originality. And this is where I'm at. And Harry's getting better jobs than me now. And I love it. I absolutely love it. You know what I mean? But that comes from Ryan, the guy with 2 followers that think he's not doing nothing. Just touching me. You get what I'm saying?
100.
You get what I'm saying? Thanks for the spuds, boys. I love that. But for real, you know what I mean? So I had to tell him that. And that goes for everyone, that you touched that one right person, bro.
100%. And that's why, you know, what I was going to say is you know, I don't know what the long-term effects is going to be of what is happening right now. But one thing that I am seeing a lot is there are a lot of people of, you know, white skin who are like spending more time in investigating what is going on and what's actually happening. Some of that actually might be due to the fact that, like, people are just being in there, because this is not new conversations. People sitting and talking about what our experiences and stuff like that isn't new. But in normal life, people just got things going on. It might pop up on the timeline. You might read it for a tiny bit, and then you just crack on with your life. But when you've got more time on your hands and you start looking at certain things, then you start saying, you know what, hold on a minute. Nah, actually, in fact, there is a little bit of an issue here, and you know what? I am going to make the conscious decision to stand next to and defend this and whatever, And so now I'm seeing more people doing that. But also, what I think is good as well, is that people are sharing information, because even that, even with the sharing information, there's things that we could learn too. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that we learn. You know, there's a lot of things within our history and stuff like that, and stuff that are just going on in the world today that we just don't even know about. So we benefit off that too. But I think a really good thing that I know that some people are not going to talk about so much, but people of white skin in this context, are looking at certain things and feeling uncomfortable and feeling a bit attacked. And you know what? That's good. I'll tell you why that's good, because that is now for you to turn around and say, okay, why do I feel this way? Like, why do I feel attacked? Why do I feel like, there's something that's tapping within me that I don't like? Okay, cool, let me look into this. Do you know what? I understand why this is making me feel some type of way. And I know that I got work to do with my unconscious bias, and I'll use that as an example with us as men. There were times when women would come out and say certain things, bro, and I feel attacked. Yeah, bro. What? I'm triggered. I can't believe that she's saying this. But I take a step back and I'm like, hold on a minute. Why do I feel this way? Why am I feeling uncomfortable? That uncomfortable feeling can be such a good thing, because then there is progress after that uncomfortability. Do you get what I'm saying?
Touching on what you said earlier about depending on the mentality of the person, because some people will get that feeling of, why do I feel like this? But they won't ask the why, or they won't go and look for the answers to find out, you know what I mean? So it depends on who you are. And I've loved, as much as I've hated seeing and reading certain things, like what you said there, I've had people ring me, man, and be like, I want to understand, or I understand, or some people I don't, as I've said, I don't understand. And I've been speaking to them for an hour and say, how can you not understand, bruv? You wear bandanas and basketball jerseys and everything, and you can't understand like what's going on, bro. You know what I mean? But that's no slight on them people as well, man. Because some people can like the culture, but not the people. Yeah, you're allowed to do that. Yeah, that's true. You're allowed to do that.
Well, you know what? I could talk a lot about that from a DJ perspective. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, now for you in particular, you've come out of a show, and there's a lot of people that know you now and whatnot. And so now you can go to a venue and they'll let you in, because you know what? You are who you are. They'll put you on the table and they'll do that. And so it's the same with
that things. Jars me.
But listen, outside of that, like, you're not getting in. Yeah. And there's been times where even as a DJ, I've turned up. Okay, I'll tell you this quick story. One time, I went and I DJ'd at Liquid and Envy.
The one,
Uxbridge.
Uxbridge one.
Yeah, I DJ'd at that one as well. Okay. Right? Man's been out here still. So anyway, now,
because you're old.
Club, bro. I said to the bouncer, I'm working tonight. Yeah, that was my thing. I turn up, I'm working tonight. He looked at me, then he looked away, and do you know what he said? Not tonight, mate. But I'm like, well, what, tomorrow? What, yesterday? What, did I miss it? I'm here to... How do I? The promoters come. The promoters come and said, "No, this is thing. Like, he needs to." The bouncer said, "Not tonight."
After the promoters there.
After the promoters said that, then he said,
guys, okay.
Then he said, "All right, you're gonna come in, but after your set, you're gonna get out." Yeah. So now, me being me, you've let me in, and usually when I do my booking, I leave anyway. But I'm not leaving now because you've told me that I've got to go. So I'm staying, innit? So anyway, boom, I'm like, I did my DJ set, whatever, and I'm just chilling and whatnot. I'm not leaving. I'm staying for an hour and a half. How about that? Yeah? So anyway, I'm chilling now. Next minute, I'll never forget it. I see like a group of big men walking through the crowd and that, one of them being a security. But I didn't really think too much of it. I just saw them coming round or whatnot. So I'm just standing there. Next minute, someone's tapped me. It's that guy. So could you come with me quickly? So now we've gone into like a certain part of the club that I didn't even know existed. It looks like a dungeon, bro. Do you know what the man said to me? What did I tell you to do? What did I tell you to do? So now, what can I do? What can I do, innit? What, I'm going to fight? I can't. You understand? I didn't say nothing. The man just kicked open the little...
back door.
Yeah, the back door, and he said
right.
The word, get out.
Is it?
Not the N word, but F and get out and whatever. And you know what? I look back at it now and I laugh. At the time, my pride made me feel some type of way, but I guess it more just spoke to the fact that, like, with black music, the prominence in that has been massive. At one point, it wasn't so much like that. When you go to a lot of clubs, it was like, I remember there was like house music and like all kinds of other stuff or whatever. But black music has now become so prominent. However, the thing is, sometimes, unfortunately, as black people, they might not necessarily want you in there. They don't mind the music. They don't mind the music, but they don't particularly want you in there. And I think all that does is speak to what sometimes is is black fear, and sometimes some people feel like, you know what, they've heard a situation where you've had a bunch of people in here that's caused some trouble, and now it's this national thing of if we allow too many, that this is what's going to happen. I feel like the younger generation are growing up at a time where like a lot of them just don't necessarily feel that way. Of course, there are a lot that have parents that like, you know, might try to push things on them. But imagine growing up, Imagine growing up at a time where, you know, it was rare to see like, you know, rappers and stuff like that on TV. But now when you turn on the TV, bruv, like you see everyone. Yeah. You see all of the man them. You see like young kids love Fredo, bro.
Yeah, trust me, they love him.
So now imagine you're growing up and this is what you're seeing. So naturally, you know what? Like it's harder. I think it will be harder. This is one of the reasons why I feel like they're losing, man, and why we're moving in a decent. I feel like we're moving in a pretty positive way. I do. I genuinely feel. I feel like after this period here, I'm hoping that maybe not so much with our generation, and we will talk just before we leave here on like things that we can do in terms of like our industries and coming together and whatnot. But with the younger lot, with the younger generation and the generation underneath them, it's ultimately set up for them to be able to go on and do and have better mindsets. Do you get me? But we have to still be able to share information and talk about stuff, and also remind people that like not all experiences are the same. Like we didn't all experience the same level of stuff. We didn't all, you know, it hasn't, like my experience is different to yours. Your experience, there's no one way that you have to live as a white person or a black person. Do you get what I'm saying? But we do have to make sure that we've got the right mindset going forward.
But I don't like the making up numbers things. I remember years ago with the fire brigade, like we need more blacks, we need gay people, we need women, like, and it was just like
box ticking.
Yes, you know what I mean. So I don't like box ticking. By the way, I'm against that as well. I like the people that deserve it, that put the work in to get where they deserve. You get what I'm saying?
Well, essentially, one of the reasons why we're here, not here in this room, but I'm talking about where we're at in terms of the conversations that's being had, is not about, you know what, like ticking a box. This is just about saying, you know what, there's an imbalance in it. And we just want it to try and be balanced a little bit so that we can get the same look and mindset when you're dealing with, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what I think, well, I want to happen personally. I think it's amazing to see like black pioneers of the UK like doing well on a worldwide scale now. Like now it's not just like rappers from the UK getting a few 100,000 views on YouTube. Like we're seeing like number ones, like the top 10 is like full of like black people. It's great that we've got that representation, but I feel like now we need to be recognised for the hundreds of years that we have been here and the way that we've shaped the foundation of this country.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like to do that, they need to introduce black history into schools,
100%.
into the school curriculum.
100%.
That's what we need to do.
My mum was a big advocate for that. I just posted a story of when she sat my kids around the table and she was just going through the number of black inventors that created things that have changed the shape of this earth. Traffic lights, the heart, defibrillator, like all these things that black people created. The comb, the loads of stuff. But
you don't teach any of
that. No, I said, but it's not about even teaching it. People don't even know that because their master, whoever it may be, took it from them and said it's mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's parts of history that we think are true, that they've, like, as I say, whoever created the traffic light, we believe when you go and type it will say that, man. But there's another part to that history.
Of course.
So there's history that needs to be changed.
That's kind of like essentially what Akala was saying as well in his live, where it was like, you know what? You're telling history, so you like tell British history, but just open it up and be honest a bit more about some of the stuff that has happened within it. And I super respect that. I think also in terms of like visual representation, elements of that is getting better. You know, it's a lot different for my little brother than it was for me when I was young. When I was young, I didn't see much of us on the we didn't have YouTube and all these type of things. My little brother can now look and see, like, if he wanted to be an artist, let's say I wanted to be an artist when I was young and he wanted to be an artist. Me, I might have been like, I want to be like P. Diddy. or it had to be someone really far. I wanted to be like one of those guys. My little brother could look and say, you know, I want to be like Heady One, or I want to, you know, be like Skepta, or I want to be like Giggs. My sister can be like, I want to do Miss Banks. I want to, do you understand what I'm saying? Steph London or whatever. I think, though, what I feel needs to happen is, especially when it comes to our culture and our industries, I feel like we need more in the hierarchy positions. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like the visual representation stuff is cool, because you know what it's like, you can stick a camera on us and be like, yeah, boom, we've got we got visual representation. But ultimately, you know, in terms of what happens within it, I'm not saying that you just choose somebody just off the basis of being black. But one thing that I do know is there's been many of times where I've seen, you know, someone who is admittedly good at their job, but you know what? The company will go for the more digestible face to work alongside or represent the black culture, because you know what? It's safer to put that person in a meeting than it is to put this, you know, black girl or this black guy or whatever. And that is why, one of the reasons why we're here from my perspective is, you know what, let's balance that out a little bit. You don't need to be fearful of having this person here who is super duper qualified, has the massive expertise and is of the culture, that can speak for it properly, as opposed to thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm going to go for the digestible face. And I think that is with many of the industries, and that's why I feel like that's a conversation that needs.
But you know what as well, which like, and it's mad, the one thing I love about my people and love about my mum and everything is that how loud she was. Yeah. Her laugh was loud and da-da-da-da-da. You know, that's one of the things that stops us getting into those offices. I heard someone talk about a laugh the other day.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, no, but it's crazy. Like, black people are loud. Yeah. We're loud in general. We laugh, we bang a table. We had to all get told before this, don't bang the table when you laugh. Because that's what we do, you know what I mean? So it's like, even that, like, we have to sort of keep ourselves in to even go and do that. But I ask you that, and I say this is because, should we?
Should we what?
So, if I have a loud laugh, and I'm a loud person in general, and I've got a lot of energy, but then when I step into an office, it's probably a bit intimidating or whatever. Do I then have to like, so you know what? Like, okay, like I know I'm loud, I know I'm this.
Tone it down.
Tone it down. That's the word.
Well, do
you believe in toning it down, or should we be unapologetic of who we are? Or should we tone it down, get ourselves in places, then we can bring rest through? How do you see it? And I'm asking the question. So I'm not, the same thing about wearing tracksuits. I'm saying, boys, if you know that a bag and a tracksuit with a hood is what the police are stopping, stop wearing it. Then my little cousin was like, what?
That's crazy.
Why should I stop being me?
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? But this is what it's now. It's like, we're getting let in front doors, but we're not now getting let into second floors, third floors. Right. You know what I mean? Because of who we really are.
That's why I'm saying representation in the hierarchy. Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, it's like, I feel like for me, especially when I worked in an office, like it was predominantly white people and stuff like that. So I felt like for me, I did probably tone myself down a little bit to just like learn the trade and stuff. And then as sort of I was in there, that's when I started to flourish up. Now I don't know if that's the right way or the wrong way, but that's what I did. But I feel like with everything else, like I'm just myself.
Because these are the answers young kids watching this, sorry Chucks, are going to be listening, watching now. And it's like, my thing is I've got to this age and I've only just learned, like, you know what? Be me. Wear your snapback. Go into these offices with these top execs, but be you. And then when you're there and you've burst through and you're there in your full tracky, snapback, all of that, like what Skepta's done, then it's like, whoa, that's the real example. But I feel still up until these days we're now getting into industries as ourselves, you know what I mean? And then being like, all right, now I'm here, boy. Man, let me get my suit,
No, well, do you know what I think?
And I don't think that's good.
I think this is subject to the industry, So, like, we're talking from a creative industry now, essentially. And so for me, in terms of my career and what we do, when I've been called in to work, to potentially work alongside or whatever it is, I go in with the mindset of, you've called me in because you've seen me. So I'm going to be me.
Definitely.
And if I can't be me within this creative industry, then maybe we can't have a partnership here.
In a workspace where there's a lot of people that work there, there's a lot of cliques, so there's a lot of judging that goes on. So when you go in there and you don't know anyone, it's important to just earn your stripes and like
ease your way
in. Yeah. But I feel like now being in the creative field and being self-employed and working with fashion and working with sports and working with music, you've got it's this is why I think it suits me a lot more, because I can just be myself.
But
I can wear a tracksuit every day. I can walk around with my headphones on.
You see what's funny about this, right?
And that's what I've got from my experience.
I was just gonna say, and that goes to black and to white. If you're in the professional world, just make sure you ease your way in and But the fact of the matter is, and why we're here today, boys, is that's especially for a black person.
100%.
This is the problem.
Of course. But with these type of conversations, do you know what? I honestly, one of the things that I feel is the biggest thing that people in general should work on anyway is your unconscious bias. It's such and it takes practice. But, you know, I said this on my podcast before. Ace, he's a DJ at One Extra, and he had a lady. He was him and Shawnee B. They were doing a show where they was talking about their experiences as black people and whatever. And there was a white lady that rang up, and they had a really honest conversation, and I respected her for it, because she was like, you know what? I don't know what it is, but when I see a group of black men, I'm shook. I don't know what it is, but you know what? Yeah, the fact that she said it meant that it was something that she knew that she needed to address.
Amazing.
Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that is something within itself. It's like, okay, cool. I work within an office. I'm a manager or I'm a CEO or whatever. And there's the unconscious bias within me that makes me feel that we have a certain level of professionalism, but I'm keeping my eye extra on you because I know what you're like. So I think that it's like really trying to address that and saying, you know what, I'm gonna try and work on a level playing field. Some people don't want to do that, but I think that, you know, for me, again, one of the reasons why I feel like we're here is because the visual representation of things is not bad. But you know what, yeah, the hierarchy side of things is not good when it comes to our industries in particular. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that mean that we now have to make more of a conscious decision to start coming together and trying to work out and build infrastructures of how we can, you know, do things without necessarily having to have, you know, corporations, you know, depending on corporations, having our own thing. Those are conversations that I feel that we definitely need to have. And by doing this time period here, again, it is opening up these conversations for us to do that. What is inspiring you at the moment? Like, what are you inspired by at the moment?
I'm inspired by people that have come from where I've come from. And have had the challenges that I've had and are succeeding, namely Stormzy, Gigs.
Yes.
Like Gigs, like when I tell you that geezer, I can't.
Jay and me said it so great.
Go on, what's he said about him?
I did with him time ago, and he said there's so many points in which he could have just said, I'm not doing it anymore. There's so many points where he could have just said, you know what, I can't take it anymore. How much times have I got to show you?
Yeah.
I'm trying to come away from the street and change my life, but you're not allowing me to do it. There's 6, 7, 8 points in which, and more than that, where he could have just turned around and said, you know what, I'm not doing it anymore.
And for me,
is a man who inspires me.
So inspiring, because if you go back, the industry's looking great now and he's earning a bit of money now, but I can guarantee you, and I don't know, but I can guarantee you that what he left and the opportunities he left around him, because I know the family, you know what I mean? And I know what money can be made in London with a family behind you and whatnot. He left that. And then I know there was a period, because we've all hit that period of when you're trying to succeed in this industry where you get no money, but you still got to look at your kids or look at your mom or whoever you're supporting and try and make stuff happen, knowing, and not even for me, not even, but him, he makes one little wrong turn and he's getting chucked away. Get what I'm saying? So there's no other, I could go and buy a pair of trainers and put an extra tenner on them and hustle and all of that. He wasn't even allowed to hustle, and he still went boom and knew what he wanted to do. So for me, Giggs is my biggest inspiration from the UK without a shadow in the world, bruv. Like, honestly, I love the geezer. Love him to bits, bruv, right? And then, so the likes of Stormzy, and there's many other brothers and people from the ends that are doing their bits, man. And
you know what I rate about Stormzy? He's just announced that he's going to donate 10 million over 10 years, innit? But why I think he's a pioneer for the country and the culture specifically is because he knows that it's not, I like people that respect that. It's not all about making money for yourself. It's about, this is bigger than all of us, in it. So doing something that's going to make a difference for generations to come is something that I respect. So that's why I agree with Stormzy as well, man.
And for me as well, it's quite easy to put yourself on the line when there's not much to lose. But I've seen these guys, even Dave. I would have loved for Dave to go to the Brits and enjoy it. Yeah. But Dave said, you know what? This is my moment. I might not never get it again, but you know what? I'm still gonna speak for my people and speak for what I believe in. You know what I mean? So, bruv, when you put stuff on the line, when you've got so much to lose, again, for me, it's a massive inspiration, man. And long may it continue. 100%. And long may the people, because listen, bro, like what you said, bro, like things have got better. Like let's not pretend that the likes of Giggs, Stormzy, and many other people, that what they've done, the doors that they've broke down for change, I'm not overlooking that and pretending that there's no change. Yeah. After Giggs couldn't perform anywhere, anywhere, and then now you're at O2 with Drake coming out, and you're telling me there's no change. Yeah. There is change. Yeah. Loads more to go though, bruv. Yeah. Loads more to go, and with the help and the people that, like what you said, that woman ringing in telling you, I don't know why I feel this, but I do, and that's a problem. Yeah. So now we have to find a solution, right? Yeah. We need more people like that, and I respect them people, and I'm thankful for them people that are stepping out of their comfort zones, away from their racist families, and getting disowned. I've had friends recently that have been disowned from their family because they've stuck up for black people and Black Lives Matter. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I thank them so much.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it is worth
Honestly, it's an unfortunate thing to happen. I would love in a day to see that just not happen and that we all get along and all of these things, But for me personally, there's certain things that are just worth distancing yourself from if it's that bad. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a mindset thing, man. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? And these conversations and just conversations in this period of time can do some real positive by addressing it. Do you know what I mean? I really appreciate both of you coming and sitting down. And
just a quick thing I want to add as well. There's a guy called Farron Paul. Have you heard of him?
No. Yes. He's my mate. So I'm saying these are the guys I've been rolling with, man.
That's what I'm saying. I think, like, I touched on this before. Like, doesn't matter how small of a difference you can make a difference now. He got stabbed a couple of times when he was a kid, didn't he? And he was actually at, was it his niece or nephew's party, and he found someone with a knife, didn't he?
I think it was his daughter's.
It's his daughter, sorry, found her with a knife.
Big knife.
Yeah, big knife. It was like a designer knife, not just like a kitchen one. And he decided to set up a campaign where he was going to swap it and let people give the knives in anonymously, and in return he'll swap it for a voucher. People like that inspire me to think that, like, I've got a bit of a platform that I can use, but I want to say to people, regardless if you've got a platform or not, you can make a change. Do you know what I mean? And that's sort of the people that inspire me. And then in terms of, like, career wise, I'd probably say people like Idris Elba, for the fact that
Idris jumped onto that, didn't he?
Yeah. But, like, he went to America and filmed The Wire in 2004. So he's always looked at the bigger picture and, like, aspired to be big. And that's someone that I look up to. Like, he's an actor, but, you know, I've been at Ushuaia in Ibiza and seen him DJing. So the fact that he never limits himself is something that I think all black people should look up to. And everyone should look up to.
I know the Idris story as well. I know where he came from, what he was doing, and what he left. It's important because a lot of people are dropping things, a lot of money, but for the greater good. Because they don't want their little brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews saying, you know what, rah, Uncle Troy is rolling around in a brand new Merc, but he can't get a mortgage. He's got no credit. You know what I mean, bro? Like, we need, like, I say we need to do better. No. We are doing better. We are doing better. People are investing and whatnot. Let's continue, man. But at the same time, these questions we've asked today and what we've spoke about, let's keep talking about them.
100%.
No matter how awkward they are, because it's tough, man. As I told you, my girlfriend is white. So people always tell me, great message, Steve-O, but it's coming from the wrong person. Whatever. I'm going to keep talking.
Actually, let's keep going. How do you feel about that?
It hurts. It hurts, man. It hurts, bruv. But what can I do? I'm not talking to the person that says right message wrong. I'm talking to the person like little H, Harry Pinero, or whoever's been inspired one little bit, whether it be my kids or my older brother. He tells me he's been inspired by me lately and he inspired me. You know what I'm saying? So
you don't ever feel like your message is being invalidated because of what people think about your relationship?
You know what's crazy, Chucks, right? I do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just go and look at what I've achieved. And I'm not saying that big-headed, like, well, that's for me. I'm saying that for myself, like, because, it does burn, but go and look at what you're doing. Go and look at what you're doing, bro, and where you've come from and what your kids are trying to do now because of they're seeing you do it. Just like you saw your dad work 7 days a week. You saw your mum do weekends as a nurse and then become a teacher, then say, you know what, I want to do more, and then go and quit that and open up a care home, which, by the way, when she passed, she left to me. So I've got a few businesses now, but I'm still not content. I'm not content, bro. The journey's not done, bro. So no matter what they say on that, I'm going to keep doing it, bro. It's emotional for me.
And that's why I said to you before this, that you know what, like, your message and what you're trying to push when you do, you should never feel like you can't do that because there are a bunch of people that feel like it's not right coming from you. You should never ever feel like you can't share information because of the opinions that people have of something that they know nothing about, essentially. You know, so, but they don't know nothing about it. And you're spreading information, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like, you know, for a lot of them, for some of the people that wanna have something to say when it comes to stuff like that, ultimately for them, there's always going to be something, and maybe the message isn't for them. If you can take, what's the saying? You can take the horse to the water, whatever. You can't make them drink it, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't attempt to try to take them there. Do you know what I mean? They might have an opinion on who the person who's sending it to them. All right, cool. You don't like it, go somewhere else. Then it's fine. Go to the person who you feel is your trusted speaker. But never, ever in life, bro, let that stop you from spreading a positive message ever. You know, I guess that's one of the things about like being in the creative industry and being a popular figure is that, like, you know, you have people that like love you when you're doing what they want you to do, and when you're not doing what they want you to do, then they have something to say about it. And that's why I feel like there's one thing that is really good to try to practice, and one of the things that is really good to try to practice is to not take things personal even when it's positive. And the reason why I say that is because you know what happens, when you take things personal when it's positive, when it doesn't become positive, then you're trying to latch on to that feeling that you had when it was super positive. And so ultimately it's about who you are in here and how you project and ultimately what you're trying to do for your community and stuff. What happens outside of there is you can't control that, but never stop spreading your message. And it's the same with you, bro.
Yeah, and I can relate to that similarly as well. Like when I've been spreading like my message on my social media platforms, I get DMs to people saying, but you're not even black. It's like, my dad was born in Ghana, came from here when he's 18 years old. Don't tell me I'm not black. So, you know, for that reason, I'm going to become a national ambassador for the black curriculum.
Keep me on that as well, because that was one of my things that I want to carry on for my mum.
It's going to be announced on the 22nd, but I'm actually, I've been doing my shoe customs. I'm designing a pair of shoes, like Black Lives Matter pair, which is going to drop on Sunday. So I'll show you them when they come out. But
Sick.
it's I want to go and do little workshops in school to go and educate people, like the kids, about, you know, the sporting angle of black people as well, and also that, you know, you can face some adversities being mixed race, but it doesn't mean you're any less black to someone that's got 2 black parents. In my opinion, I'm still as black as you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So, wow. Yeah. But you're right, man, and boys, I appreciate that as well. Especially, I appreciate the words before we got on the show, because you know it's been emotional for me.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's been emotional for us. Well, even before this with COVID and everything, it's just been emotional, bro. And I think as humans, as a human race, once we get through this, and we will get through this, we're all going to be so much better for it. The ones that, again, have the right mindset to see the lessons,
You
know what
can't
I mean?
change everyone, bro. You can't change everyone, and not everyone's going to get the message. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't give it. Do you know what I mean? Don't stop being yourself.
Can't shut me up, bruv.
Yeah, no way. Keep doing
Boys.
you, man.
My G.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for checking it out.